Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hillary's Whiskey Lounge. I'm Hillary, and this is my Whiskey Lounge. And today we are going to be stepping it up a little bit and reviewing Glen Scotia's Victoriana. And hopefully, if I can get the technology right, I'll show you a little bit of my recent trip to Scotland and my tour of the Glen Scotia distillery, where we were taken into the depths of the whiskey making process, and even shown an amazing, given an amazing experience in their dunnage warehouse tasting. So, like I said, if I can figure out the technology. But speaking of Victorian and doing things technologically Victorian, I'm going to show you today Glen Scotia's Victoriana, which has many accolades. It's won the online whiskey, best whiskey of the year, online whiskey awards a couple years ago. It won best whiskey of the year. And it's just a really good all-around whiskey. I am stepping it up a little bit for you guys. We're not doing Glenfiddich or Glenlivet or any of those big corporate monsters. We're doing Glen Scotia, and it's a little more complex, a little deeper than the other whiskeys that I've had you try, even a little deeper and more complex than Glenmorangie and Bruichladdich, for instance. So let's get going. Remember, and this is a new bottle, so we get to hear that wonderful sound. Remember, when you get a new bottle of whiskey, don't be intimidated. Just unpeel the cap here. This is just foil. And I have a jar, and I keep these in there. It makes a nice little decoration. Also a reminder of the different kinds of whiskeys that you've been drinking. So let's hear that cork. Yeah. Okay. And on the tour, I was given my own little Glen Scotia Copita glass. So we're not going to be using the Glencairn today. We're going to be using this little Copita from Glen Scotia. And we're going to pour a little in there. There's that sound. Go, 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 go. That's good. Nice little dram for a Saturday afternoon. And another thing too, I got this cool little water jug too from Glen Scotia. This is actually some pottery that was made in Campbelltown, and I'll talk to you guys about Campbelltown in a little bit. So let's add a couple drops. Okay, I kind of add a little more than a couple drops, probably because this is cask strength. It's bottled at 54.2%. So it is cask strength. So we are going to add some water to that. Gently swirl it around. You might even be able to see the effect of the alcohol being sort of swirled together with that water. Okay. All right. First, I want to show you the difference between the old bottling label and the new label. So this is the new label. In fact, this bottle itself is not green. There's a sort of a thin film over this clear bottle. I'm not sure why. If it's more expensive to have a green bottle than it is to have a clear bottle with a green film on it. The reason why I discovered this is once I was extracting the label from this, and some of the green film peeled off. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I thought it was easy to make green bottles, but here is the old bottling. Yay. Shout out to Malibu Liquors in Calabasas, where I found this beauty. This is the old bottling. I'm not sure when it started, but it ended a couple years ago when they started with that other big green bottle. This bottle has sort of a nice amber color to it, and this cute little stamp about Campbelltown down below. This bottle also states that the whiskey is non-chill filtered and non-colored, or that it has its natural color. For some reason, the new bottling just says non-chill filtered and at cask strength. It doesn't say anything about the coloring, but it is still natural colored. So which one do you like better? I kind of like this old one, especially because this is called Victoriana. The reason why it's called Victoriana is in an homage to, in Victorian times, in the 1800s, this is from Campbelltown. Campbelltown had about 37 distilleries in that time. And there's this Victorian style, which I'm not yet clear about what is, but this is called Victoriana as an homage to the heyday of Campbelltown and this Victorian style. I do know that, according to the label, this Victoriana is cask strength, and it comes in a charred oak barrel. And what charring is when the cooperage or the distillery, they take a whole barrel and they insert it on top of this massive blast of flame, and it chars the inside of the barrel. Sometimes barrels are shaved before this massive blasting, and what this does is provide a nice deep rich toasty flavor to the final product. So it doesn't give it a peaty flavor, it gives it a nice toasted flavor, which is slightly different. Sometimes this charring effect happens so strongly that some of the whiskeys that come out of this are called alligator style, because the charring forms this sort of alligator skin looking stuff on the inside of the barrel. So nothing about that here. I think Ardbeg does some alligator stuff. Anyway, and this what do we have here? Deep charred oak casks, elegant and rich. So let's see how elegant and rich this is. So I know that I talk about giving water a little bit of time in this, but I'm getting thirsty here, and we got to get on with this tasting. So let's give a nice sniff, and I smell those beautiful oak charred casks. It's light, aromatic. It's fruity. I'm smelling raisins and almost sticky toffee pudding from Scotland. I just got back on a 12-day Scottish odyssey where my son and I went to several distilleries, and sticky toffee pudding is one of the most delicious desserts you'll ever try, specialized in Scotland. All right, beautiful, beautiful aroma. Nice smooth arrival. It's not bitter or stinging, even for being cask strength. It sits on the tongue in a nice development of all those fruit flavors, light raisins, and that oak charred cask really comes out in a nice light way. And the finish, I'm getting a really nice, delightful aftertaste. I'm tasting the charred cask as well. But it's really light and elegant, just like the bottle says. So trust that. This is a really great go-to. If you can find this in your local market, this is a really great go-to whiskey that is a lot more, it's so deep. It's filled with so much more depth and taste and charisma than so many other whiskeys. So I knew you could handle this. So if you can find this Glen Scotia Victoriana in your local market, then go for it. Lots of local markets I have around here, for instance, Mission Wine and Liquors. They have lots of Glen Scotia brands, but I've never seen Victoriana stocked on their shelves. You might need to do some travel. If you live near Calabasas or Malibu, go to Malibu Whiskeys, Malibu Liquors. Shout out to them. I want to say hi to the owner that helped me out that one day when I discovered that he had this old label in stock. Malibu Whiskeys is I'm not getting any kickback or anything from them. Sorry, that's my cat shaking the camera. what they had in stock was absolutely incredible. They had a whole line of Springbank, so many Glendronics, and all these other amazing whiskeys that I'm going to be introducing to you slowly. But I knew you could handle this Victoriana today. If you can't find Victoriana, try the Campbelltown, some of their Whiskey Festival special editions are great. They have a nice basic 10-year. They have a 15-year. Watch out, though. I would recommend not getting the peated ones yet, because they will sneak a couple peated editions in there. Wow, now I'm getting a really nice light fruity aroma. Almost like a lemonade I'm getting from this. That's really nice. Also great for sipping in the summer, and it is still summer. Don't get me wrong, this would make a great sipper for all year round. But as I said, if you can't find Victoriana, try some other of the Glen Scotia expressions. This is really nice. I'm really enjoying this on a Saturday afternoon. Okay. Thank you, Campbelltown. Thank you, Glen Scotia. And speaking of thanks, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and also subscribe if you haven't already. It would really help my channel. All right, so now I'm going to try that technology and try to show you what, through some still photos, what the tour was like at the Glen Scotia distillery, and hopefully get that backed up with some music that has to do with the Mull of Kintyre, which is where the town of Campbelltown is situated. It's a little peninsula off the coast of Western Scotland, and hopefully I can get a map in here too to show you what this peninsula is and where Campbelltown is. So let's get going with that tour of Glen Scotia. I need to have one more sip. With a little bit of water, this is some really good stuff, and not intimidating. Don't be intimidated by this, even though it's cask strength, which I forget if I have talked to you. Cat, stop knocking over my camera. I forget if I've talked to you about what cask strength is, but it's just bottled way above the regular 43 minimum percent in the US. 40% ABV, alcohol by volume, is the minimum in the UK. Most of the whiskeys that I've shown you have been maybe 43%, 46% ABV, but this one being in the 50s is high. This one being in the 50s is on the high side. Say hi, Sammy. Yeah. All right. So Sammy and I are going to try to figure out this this new video gizmo that I got, and some voiceover about the Mull of Kintyre. Thank you. Here's a map of Western Scotland. You can see there's Campbelltown, Glen Scotia, Mecca. Beautiful view of the church and Campbelltown. Here's an outside shot, and the genius Claire, tour guide, suspicious man entering the distillery. So the mash tun is where the barley and the water are mixed up together, or instructions from the distillery. Here's Claire showing us her genius again. These are the stills and the cooling arm. The cooling arm is what brings the liquid into the still safe. This is one of the warehouses, huge warehouse. And then they brought us into the smaller dunnage warehouse that smells like whiskey. You can smell the angel's share. You can see all the barrels. This is the filling station. And then inside, this is where we had the dunnage warehouse tasting in the Glen Scotia distillery. It was wonderful. Thank you so much, Glen Scotia and Claire, here she is, giving everybody a sample. So go to a distillery. It's not scary.